What's up, guys? ArtistVersion1 here, and welcome back to another edition of Stories No One Asked for, the podcast. And thank you guys for tuning in this week. We're going to have some fun this week here. I put up a poll on the YouTube channel asking what stories you guys like to hear. I put up the Tatiana story, the Super Bowl story, an original, and a collection of stories. And Tatiana winning was kind of surprising. Next behind it was an original, which, again, that was also kind of surprising. Then it was Super Bowl. Then it was a collection of stories here, which is like some little quick stories, or I wouldn't say quick, depending on how I talk. And after looking at it, after thinking about it, I should say, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do the one that's the easiest to prepare for, and that is, the collection. And that's the one that got the least amount of votes. But it's good to get you guys' reaction on those. And there was even a suggestion, I think from a troll, I'm not for sure. The account was made 3 years ago, so don't quote me on that. But they did ask if the baby mama would come on and do an episode, which I'm going to put that to bed right here, right now, and that is that will never happen. I mean, me and the baby mama, we are cordial with each other. But long story short, there was an incident, I want to say last year or 2 years ago, something like that, where I just remain cordial with her. I don't really talk on the phone with her anymore. I talk to the kid. That's about it. Every now and then we'll converse about something, but even then I'm just like, come on, let's go, and I just try and get off the phone. So yes, like I said, tonight I'm going to tell you guys a collection of 3 different stories. If you guys don't know by now, Stories No One Asked for, the podcast, about 3 years ago now, I wrote a book, strangely and shockingly, to the surprise of many people, I should say. And I tried many times to write a follow-up. I tried writing one that was based on my jobs, retail hell and the fire from the other side of the counter, because that title sounded fucking epic. But believe it or not, I got stuck writing about my own life. That book was like, I want to say it was about 50% done, And then I attempted to write a follow-up to Stories No One Asked For, tentatively titled More Stories No One Asked For. Yes, how creative I was. But I just couldn't find the focus, I guess, to sit down and actually write it. So hence why this podcast is here. So we're going to get into tonight's stories here, 2 of which were available in the book, but if you don't have a book, then you're going to get to hear them here. And one of which, I believe all these are in the book. Yeah, all these are in the book. So if you've never had a copy of the book, well then, hey, you're going to get to hear these stories here, and from a different perspective. So, because I'm not going to be reading them from the book, so you're going to be getting like a different perspective from it. Or I wouldn't say a different perspective, a different telling, so to speak. But before I get into the stories, I want to give a great shout out to the people over at MoviesAreUSA.biz who proudly sponsor Stories No One Asked For, the podcast. And if you don't know what MoviesAreUSA.biz is, it's a great website where you can head on over and find those hard-to-find TV shows and movies that have either never been released on physical media or haven't been released on physical media in quite a long time. A lot of the streaming shows, a lot of the streaming websites, they won't release your favorite streaming shows on DVD. Every now and then one will kind of trickle out, like 13 Reasons Why, or Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, or did Squid Game come out? No, I don't think Squid Game did. But Last of Us came out, although that wasn't really streaming. It was on HBO too, but you get my point. But it's a great website where if you don't want to pay $15 for Netflix here, $10 for Peacock there, another $8 for this and that, all these streaming services, they have the shows that you want. I recently picked up the Netflix show XO Kitty, which is a spinoff from the movies To All the Boys I Loved Before. Phenomenal show. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. I would suggest watching the movies first, so just so you get an idea of the character. I also picked up The Last of Us, which you can buy that in store, but with my checkout code ARTIST, ARTIST, you can save 50% on your purchase. You're not going to be able to go to Walmart and use Artist and save 50%. You're going to be able to use it on MoviesAreUSA.biz, and not only that, you're going to be able to get free first-class shipping on top of that as well. So you Last of Us, you can go to Walmart and get it for $30. Okay, it's still a great deal, but you go to MoviesAreUSA.biz, you can get The Last of Us for like $15, free shipping. Boom, there you go. And if those shows aren't up your alley, there's over 3,500 titles to choose from. I've actually got a message, moviesarusa.biz, because I just got hooked on a Netflix show called The Girl from Nowhere, which I absolutely loved, and I got to have a physical copy of that. So, head on over to moviesarusa.biz today and use that checkout code ARTIST. Save 50% on your purchase. Get the free shipping. Get all the shows and movies that you love. Do that today. All right, so let's get into our stories here. The first story I want to talk about here. I already need a drink. So the first story I want to talk about here is about mustard. Yes, yellow mustard. Everybody has a favorite fucking condiment. You know, people love mustard, people love mayonnaise, people love hot sauce, ketchup. Mine happens to be yellow mustard. Fucking love it. I believe yellow mustard is the fucking black licorice of fucking condiments. Maybe the brown mustard is. I don't know. But I think yellow mustard is like the black licorice of condiments because, a lot of people no mustard, Whereas me, I'm like a no mayonnaise type of guy. I can't stand mayonnaise. So this particular story took place in high school. I think it was my sophomore year. Yeah, it was my sophomore year. So I actually had, we had 3 different lunches at this high school. We had lunch 1, lunch 2, and lunch 3. If you had lunch 3, you're pretty much fucked on food because you'd get there and there'd be like, a fucking moth flying around the fucking heating lamp, like 2 French fries left. And I'm not exaggerating this either. People who went to my high school can pretty much vouch for this and everything. Lunch 1 is what you wanted. Lunch 2, if you got there early enough, you would get something. Towards the end, you'd start getting a little sketchy. Like you might get something, you might not. So I had lunch 2. And I strangely had it with my friend Justice, who I've mentioned on here before. I had it with our friend Eric. Our friend Steven, which, oh boy, that's an episode for later. We also had it with some girls. We had it with Michelle, Sarah, and a couple other people who would just kind of interchange. But the main core of it was me, Eric, Justice, Steven, and at the time, Eric's girlfriend, Michelle. She was there. So this one day, came to lunch, and I would probably say out of the 5 days a week, 4 of those fucking 5 days, I wouldn't even get lunch. I wouldn't even get lunch. So this was a day where I was just like, all right, I'm going to grab lunch today. So I come in and I grab a burger, I grab the French fries, and that's it. That's all I needed. Now they give you one of those, like, of course you get the styrofoam tray, then you get like the little burger, they put on your plate and shit. Then you get the little paper basket of French fries that give you like, fucking 7 French fries in this fucking thing, So I get that. I go to the table that we sat at because, like, our high school, I wouldn't say it was cliquish, but for some reason, man, everybody sat in the same place in this lunchroom during this time. It was really weird. The only reason we sat other places was when they were like moving shit around. So it was like really fucking weird that we all sat in the same place every now and then. Like, ironically, like, again, a story for another day, Angelica, who I'll mention later, she actually sat at the table behind us, So anyway, I used to sit on, but my favorite spot to sit on was, because it was like a lunch table, so it was just like a little stool, and, the tables fold up and shit. So I used to like sitting on the seat that was pressed up against the wall. So after I'm done eating, I could turn, put my back against the wall and lean, and then we can talk and chill and do whatever and shit. So I go to that spot, and Justice sits across from me, Next to Justice, I believe, is Steven. No, it's Eric. It was Eric. Duh. It was Eric, then Steven. And then for some reason, next to me this day, what was Michelle, which is Eric's girlfriend. And I'm just like, why the fuck is Michelle sitting next to me? Anyway. And I think the other cast of characters, were somewhere sitting down on the rest of this table and shit. So we all sit down and everything. I sit down and I'm fucking lazy, right? So I sit down, I empty the fucking 7 fries onto my fucking tray, and I have like the little paper basket. And I see Eric, like, all I had to do was like walk around the table to the condiment station and get the mustard, but like Eric was like literally on the other side of the table. So I asked Eric, I was like, Eric, can you put a little bit of mustard in this for me? And he does, yeah, sure. No like sign of sarcasm or anything like that, but he was like, yeah, sure. Now our condiment station was fucking weird. And like all we had was mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise. Now the big thing in fucking North Carolina for some reason was, I know it's big now everywhere because of Heinz, because Heinz made it a fucking thing. Well, I mean it's kind of been a thing before Heinz did it, but like now Heinz like mass produces it. But like the mayo chip or whatever it's called, or catch mayo or whatever the fuck it's called. But like that was huge in my high school. Fucking huge, man. Everybody did a mixture of mayonnaise and ketchup and shit like that. That was like, fine dining, man, So I just wanted the fucking mustard though. But like the station was like ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, and there was like 3 upside down like bottles, but they're not really bottles. Imagine like giant milk udders, like from a cow. So then you go over there, you'd squeeze the bottle, and you put your burger or your paper tray or whatever, whatever you want to put your condiment on for fucking whatever and shit like that. It was the weirdest thing. I've never seen it since. I never saw it before, and I've never seen it since. So I said, Eric, can you put a little bit of mustard in this? Yeah, sure, no problem. I see him walk over there, and he goes to the mustard, and he's there way too long. I can already tell something's wrong. Comes back, and this paper basket is filled to the fucking brim of yellow mustard. Just to the fucking brim. And I'm just like, dude, I said a little bit, man. I have like 7 fucking fries here. And he's just like, nah. Fuck, he thought it was hysterical. So I'm just like, fucking whatever, man. So I eat my fucking 7 french fries, dip them in the fucking mustard. And then the burger, I was like, fuck it, don't need to, put mustard on this. So I just dip it, like I take a bite, then dip it in, such like that. They didn't even put a dent in this fucking mustard. Eric's over there, nah, like fucking thinks it's hysterical. So now we're just conversing, talking about whatever bullshit, such like that. And finally the fucking topic of the mustard came up. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? He was just like, nah, again, like fuck. So I honestly don't remember like what led to it, but I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was me that fucking said, like, what if I ate it? Thinking like, Justice done, when that's something that y'all should know about Justice. Like, whenever shit got real, sometime, whether it be real, like, stupid, as in, like, this mustard thing, or whether it be, like, fucking real with somebody else other than himself, he's somebody that would just fucking sit back and watch what happens. He's one of those type of dudes, man. He'll fucking sit and watch, man. He may laugh, he may giggle, he may fucking just, he'll be quiet, but, like, he will just watch. That's happened between me and him quite a few times, man. Like, he has just sat back and watched some certain situations with me unfold. A perfect example being, like, side story. We were at a dance one time. And we're at a costume dance. That's what it was. And for middle school. And this girl that we both knew, Nikki was dating this dude. I forgot the fucking dude's name. But, like, all of a sudden, me and Justin were just kind of standing there, and I was wearing a mask, and I took off my mask, and there was something in my mouth, like a hair, or maybe like a fabric from the fucking mask or whatever. So I'm reaching in my mouth to grab this. All of a sudden, like, Nikki's boyfriend comes over, looks me dead in the eye, and was just like, I'm about sick of you. I see Justice's fucking eyes just, like, light up like a fucking deer in headlights, because he knows. He knows, like, what the fuck just happened, and he's just like, this came out of nowhere. Will's about to fucking hit him. Like, he just knows. Like, he was just like, oh, shit's about to get real. And that's how he gets in certain situations. Like, he's just like, shit's about to get real. So I'm going to sit back and observe, So that it's shit like that, So this was another one of those situations. I was like, what if I just ate the mustard? And he just got real quiet and he just started looking at me. Eric's just like, okay, whatever, Will, I hear Michelle whisper next to me, like, please don't, you know? Because, like, he was just like, well, why are you going to eat it? I was like, dude, you brought me a whole fucking paper basket full of mustard, man. I don't want it to go to waste. Now, the irony of that fucking sentence flying out of my mouth is that, like, I was a sophomore in high school. And, could have cared less when that fucking In the Arms of the Angel song came on with the fucking dogs and everything. Could have cared less. I could have just walked over a homeless guy back when I was a sophomore in high school. But for some reason, this paper basket of mustard is what really finally made me say, like, you know what? I really need to think about the environment. Like, I can't let this go to waste. So, off to my right was the plastic sack of, like, silverware they give you. So, like, I kind of, like, banged that against the table. Out comes the spoon, and I'm just kind of looking at it because I'm really debating it. I'm, like, looking at it like, if I do it real fast, I could probably do this. Because, like, I love fucking mustard, but if anybody's ever eaten, like, a fucking, when you open, like, a brand new thing of mustard and you have to, like, peel that fucking paper off the top and lick the mustard off, or if you've ever done, I wouldn't say you have to, but if you've ever done that, it's a fucking tangy bit of mustard there, that's a lot right there, just plain mustard, so imagine a spoonful of it or more, okay? So I'm holding the spoon and I'm just looking at it, my mind's, like, racing, like, if I do it real fast, I could probably do this and shit, and I don't know what my fucking reasoning behind it was, like, I guess I just thought, like, fucking afterwards, everybody was going to hoist me on their shoulders and I would parade me around the cafeteria and I was going to be like, are you not entertained? I guess that was my fucking reasoning back then, because I wasn't very popular in high school. So I guess, like, if this is going to work, fuck it, let's do it. So again, I'm about to do it and I hear Michelle whisper, like, please don't, so boom, all of a sudden, there it is. I just start digging this spoon into this thing. The whole table's fucking grossed out. They're like, oh my God. You would have thought I was eating fucking, like, raw shit. At the, just like somebody's fucking, like, shit out of their ass the way I was eating this mustard and the way they were reacting at this table. I mean, that's how you would have thought. Like, if you just heard that sound, you're like, is somebody eating shit? Oh, it's just mustard, But that's the way they were reacting. So the first 2 spoonfuls I take go down easy, no problem. Yeah, remember, this is like a little fucking plastic spoon. So it's not like I have a big metal spoon that I can just, get like 3 spoonfuls and I'm done. First 2 spoonfuls go down fine. Again, Justice is just observing. No reaction, Eric's freaking out. Michelle's just like, oh, the rest of the table, I don't know. I'm just hearing noises at that point. 4 and 5 spoonfuls in, 6 and 7 go in, and I'm, like, almost there at this point at 6 and 7. So now, like, all the noises at the table are starting to, like, get to me a little bit, like, oh, that's gross, and, like, now I'm realizing how much mustard I'm fucking eating, because again, let me rephrase it, let me just reiterate to you guys, I will put mustard on shit that you do not put mustard on. Like, I love bagel bites. And I will fucking put mustard on fucking bagel bites. I will put mustard on shit that does not require fucking mustard. I will put a little bit of mustard in chili, for crying out loud. Just get that little bit of tang in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's how much, but again, when you're eating it by the fucking spoonful, it's a little bit different. So I get to, like, 8 or 9 spoonfuls at this point, and, like, that 9th one almost did it for me. I was like, you did, like, a little bit of a dry heave, you get, like, that little dry heave, like, that one came up, and at that point, it's just, like, about another spoonful and, like, scraping and such like that. So I get the spoonful, I scrape the side, yeah, look at that, nobody carried me on their shoulders and nothing like that. So Michelle's like, that was fucking awesome. I want to suck your cock. That's not really what she said. But she was just like, that was gross. And I was like, that's completely acceptable response. Justice just shaking his head like, wow. Like, that was his reaction to it, wow. And then I was just like, well, hey, you're the one that filled it up with fucking mustard. I didn't want it to go to waste. And to Eric's credit, he looked me dead in the eye and he was just like, nobody told you to eat it. And I was like, you know what? That is a fair point. You know, no one did tell me to eat it. But here's the fucking PS of this story. It tells you how much of an idiot I am. So, like, the next week, you know, there's still smatterings at the table about it. Remember last week when I ate the mustard? Fuck. Oh, that was gross, Will. So, about a week goes by. Same fucking scenario happens. You know, I'm sitting at the table. I forgot to get mustard. And I look at Eric. And I hand him this paper basket. I was like, Eric, can you please put a little bit of mustard in here? And he said, yeah, sure. And he went up to the fucking condiment station, and he's there for more than 10 seconds. That's when I knew I fucked up, you know? So I was like, you son of a bitch. I was like, I know he's going to do it again. He's going to do it again, and I'm going to have to eat another fucking whole paper full of fucking mustard. I don't think I can do it again, as much as I like mustard, you know? So he comes back to the table, and this thing is fucking filled to the brim. And I'm like, great, awesome. So he puts the fucking paper thing down, but I look at it and it looks fucking weird. I was like, wait a minute. So, like, I take a spoon and I fucking, like, dig through it and shit. He put mayonnaise on as, like, the base and then put mustard on top. I was like, okay, not only did you, like, fucking put mayonnaise in there, you made this, like, inedible, too. You know, because now I can't even fucking dip anything in it and shit. You know, so I was fucking mad as hell. But from then on out, I'll tell you one thing. From that fucking day forward, I fucking got my own condiments. I'll tell you that much. That damn sure. I went and got my own shit. But to this day, I do still love mustard. You know. All right. And the second story I want to tell you guys is, some of y'all have heard this one before, and I think some of y'all have heard the mustard one, but the last one I've never told live, but it is in the book. So, this one right here. All right. So I got to go back to when I was with my ex-girlfriend Emma. And you guys, oh boy, this one's embarrassing, but still it's kind of funny. When me and Emma were together, you know, it finally got to the point where, you know, we're going to get intimate and shit, you know what I mean? It wasn't until like, oh God, and we literally did not fuck until like 2 years into our relationship, you know? Because, you know, I didn't want to force her into anything she didn't want to fucking do, you know, so I was very patient with her, such like that. So when it was time, and shit happened, and, you know. So one night, she fucking messages me, and, like, it gets cold here in Iowa. You know, let me tell you, it gets fucking cold here. So she messaged me, and she's like, hey, get the blanket. I'm on my way. Let's do it. And I'm like, okay, like, shit, I know what that's code for. Because, like, a lot of the times me and Emma would hang out. We'd hang out in her car and shit. So even when it came time to, like, getting it on and shit, we're usually fucking in her car. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, another little side story here. Do not let the movies and the pornos and all that shit, do not let that shit fool you about fucking in a car. If you ever see, like, a porno of them just going at it in a car and shit like that, and you're like, oh, yeah, that looks fucking hot. I want to do that. No, you don't. I'll tell you that right now. No, you don't. You know, most of our fucking was done in a car. Most of our fucking was done in a car. I think except for fucking once or twice. Once or twice. I don't know, something like that. And every time I'm just like, man, there's got to be a better way. You know? So, she's like, get the blanket and I'm on my way and shit like that. I was like, all right, fucking A. So I get the blanket, we go out there and we start fucking, getting smooth and shit like that, making out, shit like that. Clothes start coming off, just bottoms and shit, because fucking, it's cold. It's fucking, what was it? It was like, it had to be like 20, 30 degrees, and 30 degrees, I can still kind of handle my shit, like I'm not like, but like, I'm getting there, it's like, it's that kind of cold. So, we're making out and shit like that. She kind of like gets into the position, like instead of like sitting on the car seat, she's kind of like laying down to the car seat and shit like that. So, she looks up at me and she's like, do you have a condom? And I did have one in my pocket, so I kissed her and I was just like, if I said no, are we going to stop? And she was like, no. I was like, Okay, no, I ain't got one. So, oh man, we're off to a fucking banging start here, right? So, she's fucking, she's laying down, you know, and, again, backseat of a car, not an ideal place to be fucking. All right, I'm gonna tell you that. You don't, go fucking. You need a bang bus for that shit. Okay. So, I got one leg. I got my left leg down on the fucking floorboard. I got the other leg, I don't know, wrapped around her fucking neck. I don't know, because the shit's not comfortable. I'm telling you. You know, people who have ever fucked in the backseat of a car could probably tell you. I don't know. Maybe because I'm just a big guy. I don't know. That could be part of the problem here. I don't know. Anyway, I'm digressing. So, where was I? Oh yeah, okay. So, the moment's about to come, man, where it's just I'm going in and shit like that. So, fun fact, she was in, how do I put this? I mean, I cuss like a fucking sailor, but, I don't want to be too overly graphic here, but, how do I put this? She was an overly wet person. Let's put it like that. Very, very easy to get into. Let's put it like that. So, I knew the target wasn't going to be hard. The find and all that such. So, I kind of reached down and, kind of get the guide ready. You know what I'm saying? So I push forward and I'm not inside. I'm like, the fuck happened here? Okay, weird. So I kind of play it off. I kind of we make out a little bit more and shit like that. So I kind of go back up, get the fucking foot on the floorboard, the fucking, my other foot out the window, my ass out the sunroof, So, I kind of get positioned again. I push forward and I don't go in. I'm like, what the fuck? I was just like, listen, I'm not that much of a fucking idiot, So I'm like, okay. And she's like, what's the problem? I'm like, nothing. No, we're good. So, I line up again. I was just like, okay, we're here, right? I'm having this mental conversation with my dick, hey, what's the problem, buddy? Are we good here? And he's like, yeah, we're good. What's the problem? So all of a sudden, lined up, boom, push again, nothing. I'm not inside. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? That's when it dawned on me. Okay, it dawned on me that as I'm fucking pushing forward, now remember, fucking 25, 32 degrees, somewhere in that time, maybe a little bit higher than 32. But remember, she didn't take her top off. I never take my fucking shirt off when I'm fucking. Nobody wants to see this shit. If any girl gets a fucking, shot of this without a shirt on, fucking, that's it. It's game over. One girl I was with one time, she was fucking lighting candles and shit. I'm blowing them out. Shit. You get one look at this and it's fucking game over. So anyway. So my shirt's on and I'm wearing this, you guys have probably seen it in live videos before, but I'm wearing this Nia Jax shirt from WWE, and it says, I'm not like most. And it's a 3XL shirt. Now, fun fact, 3XL is fine. I like to wear 3XL because it's roomy, it's more comfortable, it gives me some fucking, some flex room, such like that. Technically, I can wear a 2XL, I just sometimes like to wear a 3X because it's more comfortable, but now, that everybody wants to charge you an extra $2 for fucking 3X, I just say fuck it and I just live with the 2X now. Anyway, besides the point. So, as I'm I guess you could say hovering, above her, my shirt is hanging down, So, as I'm pushing forward to go into her, my shirt is catching the top of my dong, preventing me from fucking doing anything. So it's basically making almost like a makeshift fucking condom, but I'm not going in anything. And my shirt is essentially fucking cock blocking me. I was fucking unaware of this till the third time I tried fucking her. It wasn't until that where I finally was just like, okay, what the fuck's going on? I finally reached down and I feel the shirt in front of the fucking dick area. That's when I'm just like, oh. Thankfully, she has no idea what the fuck's going on. She doesn't know this, internal fucking monologue and struggle that I'm having in my brain. You know, like, oh, it's your fucking shirt, idiot, fucking move it, you know. So I like move my shirt out of the way and shit. You know, finally get inside and fucking we're off to the fucking races and shit, you know. So that story doesn't really have an ending. That's pretty much where it ends, is that I fucked her. You know, so you know what? I'm gonna give you guys another story here. You know what? You guys, you've been a great crowd. This is another one I don't think I've ever told live. It's in the book. Never told it live. So, again, we're gonna go back to high school here. So I'm in high school, and while I was in high school, I was a big drama fan. You know, I took a lot of drama. Really, at one time, that was the dream, to be an actor, be in movies, something like that. Like up until, I want to say 11th grade, that was pretty much the dream. You know, to be in movies and such like that. It wasn't until I got to Houston's when that dream got fucking killed, massacred, brutally fucking massacred. Anyway, so, now I used to have to get up pretty fucking early to catch the bus and shit like that. And other people would be sleeping in the house, so, you know, whatever. So one day I get up and I don't want to turn on any lights, fucking bother anybody. So I go to the laundry room, I get a shirt, I throw on the fucking shirt, and I'm trying to find my pants and I can't find my fucking pants. And I'm like, where the fuck are my pants? So I'm looking. Finally find the pants, boom, throw them on, button them, zip, boom, we're good to go. So I'm on the bus and like I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, these pants feel kind of weird. You know, like, I don't know, there's just something about them. They just felt weird all of a sudden, you know, like, okay, whatever. I didn't really think too much about it then. So I go to first period and nothing. You know, didn't really think anything about it. Still, I'm just like, you know, something, you know, fucking, they just feel weird. My second period was drama. Now, at the time, we were doing plays for the elementary schools. And it was about like, you know, drug awareness plays. And we were doing two plays, one of which took place like in Candyland. Like the candy was a metaphor for drugs. And the other one, which I was in, it was about a bunch of teens at a football game. Then they end up at a party and fucking there's drugs there. I don't remember the whole fucking plot to it. But my part was I sat center stage and I only had one fucking line. I sat center stage and I was like, okay, it's halftime. The score is this to this, because I always change the fucking numbers just to fuck with people. The score is this and this. The Rams are winning. That was it. That was my whole fucking line, and I sat back down. So we're rehearsing, and I'm sitting fucking center stage, and at the time we didn't have like all the fucking prop shit, you know. So I have like a school desk and a chair as like my quote unquote table. So I'm sitting there, and again I'm like, man, these fucking pants feel fucking weird, dude. And I'm sitting there, you know. All of a sudden I look down, and there's like on my left thigh, there's like a weird like brownish, like fucking stain. You know, I'm just like, what the fuck is that? You know, so I kind of rub it, nothing. I'm like, what the fuck is that? You know, so like I don't want nobody seeing it. You know, so like I'm center fucking stage. You know, facing the what would be an audience. You know. So I kind of cross my leg and I cross them like real tight so you can't see whatever this stain is and shit like that. You know, so we get done with rehearsal. And amazingly, I'm able to make it through the whole school day without nobody else seeing whatever the fuck it is this stain is and shit. You know? So, I get off, you know, I get on the bus, and again, I'm just like, these fucking pants just feel fucking weird, man. You know, like, why do these feel so weird? What the fuck is this stain down here? So I get home, and my sister was there. I think she was like off of work, because at the time she worked like a midnight shift at like a gas station or some shit like that. So she was up and everything. And I come home, and once I walk through the door, I'm like ripping off my pants, you know, just boom, just like a fucking NBA gym player, except they weren't like, you know, tearaway pants. And she was like, what the hell's wrong? You know, I was just like, man, these pants have felt weird all fucking day. And plus, like, there's like a fucking, this brown stain right here. And like, I take off the pants and it's not only like on the thigh, it's like all down the like left side of the thigh and shit and on the crotch area and everything. Now, some of you at home have probably already put together what the fuck this is. I didn't. And I'm about to fucking put it together. So, my sister's like, oh. I was like, what? And she's like, those are my jeans. Okay, well that explains why fucking I start turning on lights now when I'm looking for my clothes in the morning. So fuck that. And she was just like, and I might have had a period in them. I was never in a shower so quick in my life. I was in the shower. The water was hot. Because again, I'm like fucking a freshman in high school. So like, the water's fucking hot. Celine Dion's All By Myself was playing. I think the song was probably unnecessary, but they just don't make water hot enough. You know what I mean? So yeah. So from then on out, I made sure lights were on when I was like fucking picking out my clothes in the morning. I didn't give a shit who I woke up then. Well, what are you doing? I'm looking for clothes. I'm not having this mistake again. So the last story I want to share with you guys is this story is a little fucked up. I gotta admit, I don't come across as a good guy in this story. But it's one of those situations where like I don't care because you pissed me off. So this is when I was working at Hy-Vee, and I was working at customer service. Me and my buddy Caleb, and I think I don't know what it was, but like I think they just knew not to put me and Caleb over there because like what's the thing we didn't do? It was oh yeah, work. That's what it was. Because like it was just like nonstop, like fucking jokes, nonstop, like bitching about somebody. But Caleb was always a person that was just like, man, this is fucking bullshit, man. I'm not gonna fucking stay late. This is fucking bullshit. And then 2 minutes later, they're like, hey Caleb, can you stay late? And you'd be like, yeah. Like he didn't know how to say no and shit. So anyway, so working in a grocery store, again, like mentioned, one of the previous episodes, you tend to know other people from Jamie episode, that's what it was. You tend to know people in other departments and shit like that, and you get chummy with people and shit like that. Well, like, there was this girl, I'm not gonna name her, but like, her name's Hannah. There was this girl, Hannah, who, at the time, I was fine with. Like, I joke around with her, we were cool and shit like that. Well, apparently she had some, she had some issues. She had some mental health issues of her own. And like one day, like she came through my line, and again, I tried chalking it up to the mental health issues, but still, I can only forgive you for that for so long before I'm just like, you know what? It's not a mental health issue anymore. It's intentional, So she came through my line one time, and like, I honestly don't remember like the specifics of it, but like, I know I said something, and she was just like, shut up, Will. And I was like, okay, well, that was fucking unnecessary, but okay, that was all right, cool. So I was a little fucking peeved about that, So whatever, So I'm up in the fucking break room one time, and like I was like, I'm gonna fucking pay her back for this one, So I'm up in the break room, I'm sitting there, I'm eating like a fucking muffin or something, and she asked me, she was like, Will, can you hand me my bag right there? And I was like, shut up, Hannah. And she just looked at me like, what the fuck did I do? And I got her bag. I handed her a bag, and I was like, see? Not so much fun from the other way around now, is it? She didn't say a fucking word. So, a couple weeks go by. All of a sudden, Hannah disappears from work. And it was like fucking 2 weeks. So I finally asked her, I was like, did fucking Hannah quit? Is she gone? And they're like, no, you didn't hear? I was like, no. And they're like, she tried to commit suicide. I was like, what? Get out of here, really? And they're like, yeah, that's why she hadn't been here. I was like, man, that's fucked up and shit like that, because like, I may not get along with you and shit like that, but like, man, depending on who you are, but depending on who you are, if you go off and try and off yourself, I will have some sort of compassion for you. And that was one of those situations. I was just like, you know what? She said some things that maybe she didn't maybe she thought were no harm at the time. I did it back to her, and, like, all right, I had a little bit of compassion when I heard that. So, but the compassion was quickly fucking gonna dissipate here. So, me and Caleb were at customer service one day. It's a normal fucking night. And Hannah's been back at work now for about 3 days, So, it's a slow moment at the counter at the moment. Like, Caleb's, like, off to, like, my right. And, like, I'm, like, leaning on the counter. There was a spot on the counter I always leaned on because I always felt like Pearl from the TV show 227. I would just always shout, like, one-liners at people and shit. And that's where I always felt like doing it. So, one day Hannah walks up to, she's walking like in front of the counter. Then another girl, a mutual friend of ours, Lauren, meets her in the middle and shit like that. So they're kind of like talking right here in front of me and shit. And like they're right in front of me. So I can hear like every word they're saying. What were the specifics? I don't recall. But I remember like, butting in, to I forgot what it was, but I was like, it wasn't like nothing like, it wasn't one of my fucking one-liners. It wasn't anything like insulting or anything like that, but it was like, mentioning like, oh yeah, this and this and this too. And again, remember, Hannah just left work for 2 weeks to commit suicide. I don't know which way it was. I was not privy to that information. I want to say pills, but don't quote me on that. So, yeah, I kind of just jump in with that right there. And I'll be damned if after, because you figured, before I tell you what happened, because you figured like after you try and commit suicide and you don't, how do I put it? You don't succeed, I should say. You figured after you don't succeed, you'd have like this like new vision of life. You figured like, oh fuck, I'm here still and such like that. Apparently Hannah didn't have that fucking, that moment because she looked at me and with the same fucking attitude she's had before, she was just like, shut up, Will. And I just looked at her because I couldn't believe that she just said that to me. I'm just like, wow, you're still the bitch that you were fucking 3 weeks ago, So like I kind of pushed myself off the counter. And I'm about to turn around and I was just like, oh, you're alive? And Caleb's mouth, you could hear Caleb's mouth hit the fucking floor as I pushed off the counter and walked away and said that. Because it was like all in, real time too. Because it was just like, shut up, Will. And I was like, oh, you're alive? And I walked away from the counter. Caleb's mouth was just hitting the floor. And, and Lauren and Hannah finished their conversation. And they dispersed, and as they walked away from the counter, Caleb just looked at me and was just like, I cannot believe you said that to her. Like, not like, like, I cannot believe you fucking said that to her, you madman, but like, I cannot believe you said that. I was like, man, fuck, I'm getting tired of her treating me that way and everything like that, So, I don't care. I'm sorry, it doesn't make me look like a good person, but you know what? I don't care, because it's just one of those things where like, you can piss me off and, sometimes you can apologize and I'll be like, all right, we're good and shit like that. But there's just some situations where it's just like, I don't care. I'll go right for the fucking jugular, and this was a situation where I was just like, I figured since this person decided they wanted to end their life and they were unsuccessful with it and such like that, I figured maybe they had this like new vision on life and such like that. So they came back to work and everything. And I'll be damned if she wasn't still doing the same fucking shut up, Will bullshit that she was doing, 3 weeks ago before her little suicide attempt. So I was just like, okay. So once she was like, shut up, Will, I was like, oh, you're alive? And just walked away and just, I'll never forget the look on Caleb's face when I walked over to him after I said that, because he was like, dude, that was ruthless. I was just like, man, that's what you get for fucking with me and shit. So yeah, there you have it. There are a couple little short stories there that I told you, a lot of personal stories there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Stories No One Asked For, the podcast and everything. Maybe next week I will actually do one of the stories that you voted for. So thank you guys for listening, And remember, check out moviesarusa.biz. Save yourself 50% by using checkout code ARTIST. And until next week, I'm the Artist Version 1. And remember, be breezy.